7 good years. And I told this unto the magicians, but there was none that could declare it to me. See, Pharaoh's problem was he was taking it to the wrong source. He was taking it to the wrong place. Oh, but see, in 25, Joseph said to Pharaoh, the dream of Pharaoh is one. God hath showed Pharaoh what he is about to do. 26 says, the 7 good kine are 7 years, and 7 good ears are 7 years. The dream is one. And the 7 thin and ill-favored kine that came up after them are 7 years, and the 7 empty ears blasted with the east wind shall be 7 years of famine. This is the thing which I have spoken unto Pharaoh. What God is about to do, he showeth unto Pharaoh. 29, behold, there come 7 years of great plenty throughout all the land of Egypt. And there shall arise after them 7 years of famine, and all the plenty shall be forgotten in the land of Egypt. And the famine shall consume the land. And the plenty shall not be known in land by reason of that famine following, for it shall be very grievous. For that the dream was troubled unto Pharaoh twice. It is because the thing is established by God, and God will shortly bring it to pass. Now I want to remind you, Joseph is standing in the midst of somebody that has the power and authority to go hang him on a tree if he feels like it. Don't forget, this is the same man that Joseph had interpreted dreams of 2 other people who had served Pharaoh and told him, say, hey, you know what? He's going to restore you and he's going to hang you. You know what? Pharaoh could have just lost his mind and just said, you're crazy. And hang him too. Do all, you know what? Hang him up by his leg, whatever. But see, what I want you to remember is Joseph wasn't afraid to give him the interpretation. No matter how bad it seemed, he just told him there's going to be a famine so great that nobody's ever going to remember the 7 good years that you had. That's pretty bad. When you can have 7 years of absolute destruction in your life and surrounding you that nobody would ever remember about the good stuff. That's what Joseph told him. That was the interpretation of the dream. In other words, all the things you think you got is about to get wiped out if you're not prepared. Can I tell you tonight that you got to live your life prepared? I'm going to tell you something. You know what? A lot of people today have had seasons of plenty. Y'all listen. Have had seasons of plenty. And instead of following the things that God instructs us to do in the Word, people find themselves in a position of wastefulness. Then when the time comes that what that plenteous that God sent was to help sustain you through a time of famine, you don't have it. That's why a lot of times people never remember all the good things. All they see is the bad. But see, we got to remember that it all belongs to God anyway. God's the one who provides and sustains for His children, amen. He's the one who equips and provides and gives what we need in our life, and so that we would have to give no thought for what we shall put on or eat or drink, for He would take care of us. Verse 33. Now therefore let Pharaoh look out a man discreet and wise and set him over the land of Egypt. Let Pharaoh do this, and let him appoint officers over the land, and take up the 5th part of the land of Egypt in the 7 plenteous years. And let them gather all the food of those good years that come, and lay up corn under the hand of Pharaoh, and let them keep food in the cities. And the food shall be for store to land against the 7 years of famine, which shall be in the land of Egypt, that the land perish not through the famine. Do you realize that Joseph is now stepping beyond his boundaries of what he was asked to do? He done got bold. You know what? We're to live a life of boldness for God. Look, Pharaoh didn't say, hey, come tell me how I need to run my kingdom. But Joseph just told him. He said, look here, this is what you need to do. You need to take and you need to find you a wise man. You know what? Really, what he just slapped Pharaoh in the face. Didn't he? He said, you need to find a wise man to watch over this. In other words, Pharaoh, you're not smart enough. You need to find somebody else that can do this. He got pretty bold. But isn't it amazing when you got God with you? You don't have to be afraid of anything. When God's on your side, who shall you fear? What shall man do unto me when I got God on my side? How long had he lived in this bondage? 13 years. Longer than some of these young kids in here are old. 13 years, and he had never forgotten how good God is. In the midst of all the things he had gone through, he had never forgotten who God is. And the cool thing is, God had never forgot about Joseph. Verse 37 says, and the thing was good in the eyes of Pharaoh and in the eyes of all his servants. And Pharaoh said unto his servants, can we find such a one as this, a man in whom the Spirit of God is? Pharaoh said to Joseph, for as much as God hath showed thee all this, there is none so discreet and wise as thou art. Thou shalt be over my house. And according unto thy word shall all my people be ruled. Only in the throne will I be greater than thou. Boy, I'm going to tell you what, he just got a promotion. He's living in the, he's living in the land, at the time, the wealthiest land there. Lived in bondage for 13 years. Didn't deserve a thing, excuse me, to get there. Did nothing wrong. Lived a clean, righteous, pure life. And faced 13 years of trial and persecution and things he should never have had to go through. But see, he was still willing to serve God through them. And now his time's come. And let me remind you, Joseph has still asked for none of this. Joseph didn't say, hey, you know what, Pharaoh? You need to put me in charge. He said, you need to find you somebody that can handle all this. Not one time did Joseph ever promote himself. There's too much self-promotion today. The focus should always be on God and not on us. It should never be what we can do and what our qualifications are or what we're able to do, but it's all about what God's plan is in your life. You see, Joseph didn't promote himself. Joseph just told the truth. He gave him what God had laid on his heart, and he gave it to him. He was obedient to God. And in that, God is getting ready to bless him. He told him, you're going to be over everything I got, and the only one that's going to be over you is me. Pharaoh said unto Joseph, see, I have set thee over all the land of Egypt. Huh. Boy, you want to talk about some authority. He went from a position of being a prisoner in a dungeon to having authority. He could take a man's life. That quick. And it wasn't Joseph, it was God. And I'm here to tell you that God can do the same thing in your life right now, today. I don't care what you're going through, whatever kind of season of lack you find yourself in. If you will be faithful and serve God, He has a plan for you. And it's a plan that He will bless and prosper you, not leave you in a dungeon. But you see, we got to go through seasons where God sees if